You're listening to the Minutes on Growth podcast, the show that brings you mindfully curated insights into relationships, spirituality, personal development, and everything in between, with your host, Tannaz Hosseinpour.
Hi, soul friends. It's Tannaz Hosseinpour, and welcome back to another short solo episode of the Minutes on Growth podcast. Today's episode is centered around a personal experience I had preparing for my 32nd birthday 2 weeks ago. So for as long as I can remember, I have always been super extra when it comes to my birthdays. As the only child for the first 10 years of my life, my parents would always go all out for me. And then when I was older, I kind of just continued doing that. This year, however, I was experiencing major, and I mean major internal resistance when it came to celebrating my birthday. I kind of transformed into this bratty child who would say no to everything. So my partner Ashkan asked me if I wanted to travel, and I immediately blurted out no. My mom asked me if I wanted to throw a party at her house, and I immediately blurted out no. My friends asked me if I wanted to plan a dinner, and again, without hesitation, I kept saying no. And honestly, it felt so frustrating for me to hear no come out of my mouth that many times, let alone for those around me. I'm sure they were annoyed by my constant no's because I was so annoyed by the fact that I didn't even know where this internal resistance was coming from. So I decided to take drastic measures, and I locked myself in my closet with a small mirror. I love mirror work, so I thought this would help me gain some clarity. So I just sat in front of the mirror, staring into my own eyes, and I asked myself, what is your problem? People want to celebrate you, and you keep saying no. And then nothing came out of my mouth. I just had a blank stare in my face. And after a couple of minutes, I noticed I started to tear up. But there was still no words coming out of my mouth. And a few more minutes passed of me staring at myself, sitting in that discomfort, when I finally whispered, "It's just not what I want right now." Finally, some words, but it still didn't make any sense to me. So I had to continue looking at myself. And I asked, well, what do you want? And I don't know what happened, what took over me. But the moment I asked this question, I started to cry hysterically. I know this was happening between myself and I, but I was really confused at how my inner child was responding. When the crying subsided, after I think 10, 15 minutes, I just remember repeating these words over and over to myself that I'm just not the same person anymore. I know I've mentioned this multiple times, but last year was a very emotionally challenging year for me. And as a result, many changes took place in terms of my lifestyle and my habits. I noticed myself taking a step back from drinking, from partying, and even entertaining small talk. At first, I thought it was a trauma response, and perhaps trauma did play a role in it. But over the past couple of months, as I'm healing and processing the pain, I'm noticing that I still don't want to drink. And I still don't want to entertain conversations that are surface level. For me right now, depth matters. I love to have deep conversations with the people around me. And if I can't connect at that level, then I'm noticing myself taking a step back from that dynamic for the time being. And that's where my resistance to throwing a big party was coming from. I didn't want to create a space where I would be pressured into drinking heavily or with music so loud that, you can't really communicate with each other. And I also didn't want to invite people that I was no longer resonating with. Our energies were just no longer a match. I can love them, and I do love them, but I'm loving them from a distance. And instead, I wanted to create a space for deep connection. And don't get me wrong, by the way, it doesn't mean that I can't socialize without alcohol or I don't love loud music. In fact, a few weeks prior to it, I was at my friend's birthday. And even though I was sober, I had so much fun letting loose, dancing, talking to everyone, catching up with them. But a part of me felt that people are still expecting the older version of me to show up at my own birthday. And at this moment in time, that version doesn't exist. And I don't know what the future will hold. But right now, the old me, who would take shots and love to drink, she doesn't exist. And I didn't want my birthday to be centered around me having to explain that. And I also didn't want to go away because I am a social person and my community and my tribe are so important to me. And I do appreciate the opportunity to celebrate my birthday with them. And going away felt like I was running away from the resistance, which I didn't want to do. I'm all about facing my fears and facing my uncomfortable thoughts and feelings. I just wanted to have an experience that looks and feels different, resembling this different version of me, resembling the most current version of me that exists today. And by the way, we don't really talk enough about the grief that we feel when we let go of a certain version of ourselves. Personal growth and involvement are so celebrated that we just assume all the emotions that come with it are uplifting and happy. But there is a part of me that feels sad or even scared that I'm letting that old version of me go. And as a result, I'm letting so many people go as well. And so many activities and so many hobbies and so much of what I did no longer resonates. And so there's a lot of shedding happening. And I know that, the older version of me doesn't serve me anymore, but she was with me for so long that there is still an attachment there. It's like letting go of a friendship that has served its time. You know it's the right thing to do, but it doesn't mean you won't miss them. I still miss the friendships that I had to let go of maybe 10 years ago. But I also trust that change is the only constant in life. And as we grow and evolve, the parts of us that no longer resonate, they must be released so that we can create space for new habits and traits to flourish. So after deep reflection in my closet room, I decided to host an afternoon brunch with just my girlfriends on my birthday, inviting a wonderful facilitator to also come and conduct a healing sound bath for us all. This felt more aligned with where I am in my life today. Honoring the divine feminine, honoring deep conversations, honoring silence, nourishing my soul with real sisterhood. And the moment I visualized what it would look like, my body got so excited. I immediately came out of the room, went on my phone to order the party supplies and to design my invitation card. The excitement and desire to celebrate my birthday with my loved ones was back in my body. And all I really needed to do was let go of that initial resistance by getting curious with it. And to talk to myself to see where my concerns and my resistance were stemming from. I can't say this enough, but curiosity is a trait that once cultivated and mastered can make the world of a difference in our experience of reality. And I am happy to announce that the party was a blast. Everyone's inner child came out to play because there was so much pink and balloons and butterflies, and the sound healing bath felt like nap time during kids' birthdays. So there was silence, but there was also deep conversations, hours and hours of just connecting with one another and feeling safe and relaxed to be in each other's presence and to get to know each other better and better. And it was just amazing. It really was amazing. It was such a powerful couple of hours for all of us. And it served as a reminder for me that we have extremely smart bodies. So everything we feel and experience has a message for us if we're only willing to become silent so that we're actually able to hear it. And me locking myself in that closet room really created space for silence. So soul friends, this is my message for you today. If you are feeling any form of confusion, resistance, internal unrest, I urge you to create a safe and silent space for yourself to get curious with those sensations so that you can hear what your mind, body, and soul are trying to communicate with you. This is actually how we strengthen our intuition. And this is how we master understanding and connecting to our gut feeling. Thank you all for listening. Speak soon.
Thank you for joining us this week on Minutes on Growth. If you enjoyed today's episode, then make sure you never miss a show by clicking the subscribe button now.